Alright, welcome everybody to another BDA Boxing Podcast, broadcasting to you live from the true north, Canada. This is Mr. BDA with you, and as always with me, my co-host, King Bucho. King, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Alright, fantastic. Now, before we begin, as always, Jesus Christ, sorry about that. If you want to join us, you can do so by messaging us via the email address that's on the top of your screen, boxingdebate@hotmail.com. Send us an instant message, a message, don't email us, okay? Then you send us your email address, and that way we can send you an invite to this fascinating discussion that we have going on here. Alright. Enough discussion, enough talk. Let's get down to the real talk. What are people saying in the chat? Sean Newton, shout out to Sean, says Gassiev-Dorticos is going to be a war, bombs dropping. We certainly are expecting a war. Then again, I was expecting a boring fight for Brady's versus Usyk, and it turned out to be a war. So I hope the opposite doesn't happen in this one. I hope that it does remain the war that we all think it's going to be, at least on paper. Pavel is in the house. What's up, Pavel? Akuma's Deception says, BDA, did you catch the Mikey Garcia interview? This dude sounds like he's going to dog Lomachenko. Well, you know, they're part of different promotional entities. And no, I didn't see the video, but the interview, but I'm going to make sure to catch it now, or at least read it on the air to see what's going on. Sean Newton says, I made a video about that BS. Oh, okay, so instead of reading the article, I'll just watch his video. It's easier and more entertaining. Akuma's Deception says, Sean Newton Boxing, I just saw your vid on Mikey. I totally agree. And then Sean says, that's pure BS. Boxing is hilarious, says Akuma's Deception. How these fighters on the PBC side think they are Mayweather. See, that's the problem. And again, Mayweather, he set the pay bar, the salary, too high. And so now everybody there thinks that they deserve $1 billion to fight good opposition. But anyway, you know what? It is what it is. I want to start out by talking about the antics that happened between Amir Khan and Phil Greco, but I have something much more interesting and much more pressing that I want to present to you. It's a good story, one of the few positive stories that we have in boxing. Now, it doesn't involve people getting together to raise money for an injured boxer or a retired boxer. It has nothing to do with a club for kids in trouble and they were able to get out of trouble by going to the gym. Now, that has nothing to do with it. It's more important than that. We had Eddie Hearn, who says he's going to stand firm on having ring card girls for his fights, because I don't know if you heard, but according to this article by, gotta give credit to who wrote it. Okay, apparently it's a press release, so nobody wrote it, but anyway, I don't know if you guys are aware, but the F1 Formula Racing, whatever you want to call it, they put out a press release saying, no, we're not going to have sexy girls around with the flags and everything, because that goes against our values. Well, first of all, what are their values if they had that going on for years? And all of a sudden, they get morals? So good for Eddie Hearn for saying, nah, we're not going to change. We are, ring card girls are part of boxing. They will remain that way for as long as I live. Well, he didn't exactly say it in those words, but he was standing firm on that. And I believe that. And I'm glad, a lot of people saying, well, BDA, you're going to give a promoter credit? Aren't they all scumbags? Yeah, they're all, to a certain degree, scumbags. But in this case, props to Eddie Hearn for doing the right thing. Seldom do promoters do that type of stuff, especially he could have caved and he could have said, yeah, you know what, you're right, we want to be more sensitive towards, fuck that. And by the way, ring card girls, for the most part, they love the attention and the whistling and all that goes on with being a ring card girl and having a bunch of drunks liking you, so there's nothing wrong with having ring card girls. All right, second thing, but Akuma's Deception says the SJW agenda is getting out of control. First Star Wars, now Formula 1. Pavel says, oh yeah, they're going to say Eddie is slut-shaming a bunch of sensitive whiners. But listen, it's not like they're prostituting these girls. It's not like they're making them blow all the fans in the arena or something. It's they're just walking around, with a number over them, and that's it. It's nothing more. It's harmless fun. It would be harmless if, a drunken boxing fan went in there and punched one of the girls and everybody started cheering. That would be a bad thing. But as far as I know, that never goes on. Alright, second item, I want to talk about Amir Khan. Amir Khan throwing a glass of water right on Phil Greco's face. Now, I will say this about Phil Greco, not the greatest fighter out there, but he's got charisma. I don't know if you guys have seen that show of his called The Culinary Fighter. It's on YouTube. And what he does is he goes around talking to not just fighters, but other people related to boxing, and he asks them about their favorite food, blah, blah, blah. And it's actually a pretty entertaining show. He's pretty, like I said, he's an outgoing guy, he's charismatic, and so he had to play up that charisma to a T, to a max, and actually overpassed that and actually went into the bad guy role. But he needs to do that. I mean, Amir Khan is only known in England and outside of England to hardcore boxing fans, and Phil Greco is only known around Toronto pizzerias, so nobody really knows who they are. They have to sell it, alright? And I was reading about it, and good thing, nobody has been complaining about it, as far as I can tell. Very few people have been complaining about how it was a dirty press conference, how it was a circus. Listen, it's boxing. The people that don't like it and that don't watch boxing, they're not gonna watch it anyway. Khan and Greco could have had tea and strumpets while discussing geopolitics. The people that don't like boxing wouldn't have looked at that and said, "Oh, look at these guys, they're comporting themselves like gentlemen. I'm gonna watch boxing now." Fuck that. That was never gonna happen. So who cares what these people think? Who cares if it's a black eye to boxing? There's black guys all over the sports. Baseball, a bunch of steroids abusers. The NFL, they don't want to, whatever they got going on over there with their own flag and refusing to do the national anthem. So every sport has a black guy, and you know what? Controversy sells. I bet you most of you are going to be watching this thing more interested now than if they would have just been cordial to each other. That's all I'm saying. Pavel says nobody's forcing anybody. He's talking about the ring card girls. Akuma's Deception says most of those ring girls would either be Instagram hosts or models if they weren't ring girls, and most of them are already that nowadays. Akuma's Deception says that the whole thing with Amir Khan and Greco looks staged, and King Bucho says that it could be. Listen, I wouldn't be surprised if it was staged. It wouldn't be the first time. Like I said, they know, especially in England, they're going to be going up against Carl Frampton and Nonito Donaire, so they really gotta vie and fight hard for those extra eyes. And you know what, but somebody made an interesting point that if this was genuine and Amir Khan really did get angry, can you imagine what a press conference between him and Ricardo Mayorga would have seemed like? Whew. Mayorga, if Phil Greco could get like that, could rile Amir Khan so easily, imagine what Mayorga would have done. Or not even Mayorga, forget Mayorga, imagine Adrian Broner. He knows how to get under people's skin. But again, was it staged? I don't know. The way Amir Khan reached for the glass, he did it so quickly, and I think he had... Here's the thing, if you look back at that video, he was eyeing that glass a couple of seconds before he threw it. So either his mind processed the whole thing and said, you know what, I'm gonna throw this in his face, or it was all part of the plan and he was thinking, okay, now I gotta grab it, now's the cue, now I gotta grab it and throw it in his face. I don't know, but it does certainly add a more interesting angle to this fight, an otherwise boring fight, I would say, because really, who the hell is Greco? He's a local fighter. I know him because he's from Canada, and maybe hardcore fans know him because he's the guy that fought Sean Porter and Errol Spence. But other than that, most people don't know who he is. Akuma's Deception says Mayorga would have two-pieced him and fucked his wife afterwards. Pavel says Mayorga was straight up hardcore talker. Man, sometimes he did go overboard. Like when he slapped the back of De La Hoya's head, or I think when he slapped Mosley's girlfriend's ass. I think that was staged. But let me tell you something, that girl had a nice ass, and I can't say I would have done the same thing. Hell, I wouldn't have slapped it. I might have gotten on my knees and taken a bite out of that juicy motherfucker. But anyway, that's a story for another time. Regarding Khan and Greco, you guys tell me. I mean, is this a bad fight for Amir Khan in terms of publicity? Because some people are saying, look at Kell Brook. He got demolished against Triple G. And then in his next fight back, he's taking on Errol Spence. I mean, that takes balls. And I agree. But then also look at what Khan did in his last fight, which was he went up to 160, just like Kell Brook did, and took on Canelo Alvarez. Now, I don't know if they fought. I think they fought at like a catch weight, right? 154, maybe 150. I think 155, 160, something like that. But essentially, for all intents and purposes, he was in there against a middleweight. And let's face it, Canelo was probably weighing above 160 during their fight. So if Khan, who's taken on the best, he has taken on the best, wants to take a bit of a tune-up here, why not? Well, what is the problem? I mean, does he have to be like Kell Brook and go up against a killer? I mean, I would love to see the Kell Brook fight as well, but you gotta be realistic about these things. Can't be fighting killers all the time, especially since Amir Khan, you really never know how he's going to look. You know, he didn't look good against Julio Diaz. Remember that fight? He didn't look all that good. He got dropped and hurt multiple times. Which other fight didn't he look all that great? Against Algieri, he won almost every round, but he was getting stunned as well by the light-hitting Chris Algieri. So if he wants to take a tune-up and see how he feels, see how he looks, and then take on Kell Brook, alright. Why not? I got no problem with that. What else is in the news? Oh yes, we might talk more about Canelo versus Golovkin, the rematch that was set. And we talked about that on Monday, but I was looking at the unboxing scene. They said that Chiquita Gonzalez, Lupe Pintor, and who else was it? Chiquita Gonzalez, Lupe Pintor, and some other boxer, Mexican boxer, were picking Canelo to win. And they're saying that he might be able to knock Golovkin out. Now, it's an interesting thing in Mexico. Some people really don't like, what's his name? Canelo. There's like, I think it was Carlos Zarate who says he doesn't like Canelo. He says he's not good. He's like a, what did he say? He's a fraud. Or was it Miguel Canto? One of these Mexican legends doesn't like Canelo. And I remember a couple of years ago when Canelo won his first world title, which was a sham, by the way, against Matthew Hatton. I think it was a welterweight title. And the guy Canelo couldn't even make the weight. Something weird like that. So he wins his first title, and they go on Mexican TV, and they do this special program where it's Juan Manuel Marquez and some other Mexican TV personalities, and they're taking Canelo to court where he has to defend himself. I'm not kidding. He has to defend himself about why he thinks he deserves to be a title holder. Never mind, of course, the titles. Anybody with the right connections can get a title. But, you know, they were grilling him about it. So there seems to be a different standard for Canelo. I never saw anybody in Mexican TV take Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. to court. Let me tell you something. If you were going to take anybody to court, it would have been Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. The same Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. who's struggling against nobodies. The same Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. who's struggling against nobodies and then tested positive for all sorts of illegal substances. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. who quits during fights. And I'm not saying quit, like for example, against Fonfara, he quit. Okay, fine. If you feel like you're taking a beating, that's alright. But if you're, you know, like against Canelo, where he gives up halfway through the fight and just goes on the defensive. And I know we've seen other fighters do that. But, I don't know. I guess I'm just ranting here that there's something that most Mexican fighters have against Canelo. Jealousy, the famous hate, that I hate to use the word, you know, because some fighters do deserve to be criticized. But something's going on with Canelo where it borders on hate more than actual criticism. Okay, well, let's see what people are saying in the chat. Pavel says Khan took a layoff after the Canelo punch. I'm cool with that. Yes, exactly. Especially after a knockout like that. He deserved it. Akuma's Deception says, yeah, I think he needed a break. He could have become punch drunk if he keeps getting KO'd like that. Boxing Killers TV said, Coley versus Chamberlain is a good domestic fight this weekend. I'll be sure to check that one out. Pavel says Nacho is roasting Canelo on a frequent basis. Yeah, that's another guy, Nacho Berenstein. Maybe it's because he's trying to play hard to get. You know what I mean? Like, he's criticizing Canelo, he's this, he's that, because he's hoping that Canelo, once he gets a tough fight or he doesn't look good in one of his fights, he's gonna go, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna switch up to with Nacho, because he's got a lot of criticism, which means he's seeing my flaws, which means he can fix my flaws. But I don't know if that's gonna happen, Nacho. But keep praying anyway. It's never say never. Sparky says weed isn't a performance-enhancing drug. I think he's referencing to what I said about Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And I know he tested positive for weed once, but I'm not talking about weed. I'm talking about other substances that he tested positive for. And then there was also check out the shenanigans that went on behind the scenes when he took on Andy Lee. That was another fight where something went wrong with the test, and of course the Nevada State, not the Nevada State Athletic Commission, I think it was Texas, the Texan Commission, which we all know how they act, didn't do anything about the allegations that were being thrown around. Fernando V says, what up BDA, what's up? Now I know the microphone for some reason is sounding a little, I'm getting a little bit of feedback, not feedback, but it's breaking up a little bit. I don't know what it is, I don't know what I can do about it. I guess we're gonna have to live through it. Let's see, other news. I'm reading all of this off of what's it called, Boxing Scene. Hearn is talking about Price. Oh, David Price is still fighting, my god. You know what, let's talk about the Murat Gassiev versus Dorticos fight, because that is one that I am now excited for. Of course, Dorticos and Gassiev fighting in Russia this Saturday. From what I understand, the fight is going to be broadcast via ITV4, which is a British channel. So if you have that, you can catch the fight. Otherwise, go on the internet and try to find a stream that's suitable for our purposes. See, I'm moving. The more I move shit here around the computer, the more the microphone breaks up. So it has something to do with the desktop. So I'll try to not move around too many things here and avoid that clicking sound that you might be hearing throughout the program. But yeah, Gassiev versus Dorticos fighting in the semifinal of the Cruiserweight tournament. But of course, there are larger implications here at BDA Boxing, because two of our regular panelists and of course YouTubers themselves, Precise Puncher and Low Place, are going to be going head to head in a gentleman's agreement. Precise Puncher picked Gassiev and Low Place picked Dorticos to win. And so from what I remember, the terms of this bet is that the loser has to go on their own channel and praise the other guy. And when I say praise, I want you guys to ham it up. I want you to really go out, all out, right? I'm talking, say that this YouTuber is the best, say that they are the most eloquent and intelligent boxing analyst on YouTube. I want you to go all out, okay? And by the way, the terms are also that even if the fight is a robbery for one guy or something extremely weird happens, we are going to be abiding by the official decision. So let's say that Gassiev wins, but most people think Dorticos should have won. Too bad. And vice versa. We're sticking with the decisions here. Okay? And if you haven't checked it out, check out the preview that the World Boxing Super Series did on Gassiev versus Dorticos. They keep producing these very nice vignettes that are around 20 minutes that explain the behind-the-scenes going-ons between the fighters. And of course, I'm referring to the Dorticos versus Gassiev preview that they did. Very interesting. Gassiev looks like a very down-to-earth guy. He's the type of guy, he says he doesn't like to celebrate after a win. very disciplined. Meanwhile, Dorticos says, oh, right back. Hold on a sec. Dorticos says that he knows he's the best and that he wants to prove he's the best, and he seems to be very confident. And you can see the contrast between the two fighters in their personalities, or their character maybe even, when Dorticos was watching Gassiev's fight and he didn't seem all that impressed. Meanwhile, Gassiev was watching Dorticos' fight against, what was his name? Kudryashov. And after Dorticos knocked Kudryashov out and started celebrating, Gassiev goes, I don't like to do that. Not my style. So you can see both guys have their own personality, their own character, their own way of behaving inside the ring. I'm not saying one is better than the other, but it's going to be an interesting fight. Okay, so Rod, if I understand correctly, you just want to be on the chat for now. Is that what you're saying? Anyway, if I see you on the chat, I'm going to take that as a yes. But anyway, you can see both guys have their own different styles. But what's going to be very interesting, and why a lot of fans think this is going to be an interesting fight, is because both guys are power punchers. Both guys really are looking to hurt each other. They're not looking to just, you know, tap, tap, tap. For 200-pound guys, they really do. Okay, Rod, if you want to go on the chat, just there is a box under the BD. Butcher, are you there, by the way?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
When you're on the YouTube, and you want to chat, like Rod is asking me how to chat on the screen. Could you explain it to him?
Chat on the screen.
Yeah.
Well, on the right-hand side, there should be the chat, no?
Yeah, that's right, Rod. So on the right hand, there is a chat, and you just write whatever you want, and then it's gonna appear on the screen. Simple as that. Well, I mean, it might not be. Maybe it's closed. Maybe that's why. Is it possible it's closed, Bucho? Is there a way to close it?
I don't think so.
All right.
Oh yeah, you can hide the chat. There's a button to hide it, so I guess you can unhide it.
Oh, okay.
It's the bottom.
Okay. Well, I think he's figured it out. It's right on the right side, Rod. You just gotta write whatever you want in there. By the way, Bucho, how is the? I don't understand why the OBS here, what we have here. Okay, now it's moving. It seemed like it was lagging a little bit. I mean, I don't know what's going on. And the clicking sound.
No, I see it fine though.
Okay, the clicking sound, I think it had to do with Firefox, because I had Firefox open, so I just closed, and that's.
I don't know.
Oh, anyway, but Bucho, did you happen to see the preview that the World Boxing Super Series did on Gassiev versus Dorticos?
No, you told me to watch it, but I didn't have time. I'll watch it later tonight.
You didn't have time. You didn't have time? Is that what you said?
No, that is correct. I'll watch it. How long is it though?
It's about 20 minutes. You don't get 20 minutes.
Oh, it's just 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I thought it was like 24/7 or something like that.
Let me tell you something. Speaking of that, I was reading the comments. People are saying, well, one of the comments was, this is how you're supposed to do it. They should show this to the 24/7 people. And I said, you know what? You look at the previews. There's nothing overly exciting about it. There's no wild antics. There's no, like, you don't see the guys going to the airport and bungee jump. I mean, you know what I mean? Like skydiving and all that. Like they try to do it.
Yeah, well, it's 20 minutes, right? I mean, they go to what's important. They show the fighters training and talking about their shit, and that's it. I mean, but then you have like with HBO, you have 3 episodes sometimes of 24/7s, and each episode is like how long? 45 minutes?
No, the 24/7s.
30 minutes?
They're
about
they're like 28, 25 maybe.
Okay, but whatever. We have 3 episodes of like 30 minutes. Like,
I know.
At some point they have to put some filler. You know what I mean? Like, so you watch them eat a fucking burger and shit. Like, who cares, man?
That's yeah. Listen, what I'm saying is, with this episode that they did for each guy, or for previous to each fight, prior to each fight, and also they do in post fights as well. I don't know why, but it's entertaining. They're not trying to do, like I said, any antics, no filler. You know, when they do show the guy's maybe it's because we don't know who they are. You know, like if Gassiev and Dorticos were fighting on HBO, they wouldn't be doing a feature on them. HBO only spends their money on 24/7s for big fights. Pacquiao, Mayweather, Canelo, and it's always the same thing. I mean, how many times do we have to see Canelo riding a horse and eating tortillas with his fat trainers? Come on.
Yeah, or watching Abel Sanchez eat fucking tacos with his tight shirt, you know?
Yeah, another one eating tacos. They're all eating tacos. I mean, I know they're Mexican, but come on, could you downplay the stereotype just a tiny little bit?
Hey, I like tacos.
Yeah, who doesn't like tacos? But what I'm saying, do they have to be eating tacos all the time? Would it kill them to have a slice of pizza every once in a while?
I'm telling you, in the slow motions, you know, that slow motion shot.
Yeah, slow motion shot
in those 24/7.
Slow motion shot of
the aerial
a slow motion shot of Abel Sanchez eating a taco, and then you see a real, like a close-up slow motion of Abel Sanchez eating that taco, and you see like there's particles of food all over his mustache. That's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
Still super slow motion cams. I don't even watch it. I don't know what was the last 24/7. I skipped some episodes. Usually, I remember for every fight I used to watch every single 24/7 that came out. But lately, I've been like skipping some episodes, man. I just don't find it interesting anymore.
I think the last one was Canelo versus Triple G.
Oh no, those I think I saw. But the one before, I think they did one on Jacob's Golovkin. I skipped through it. You know, they showed Jacobs with Algeria. Remember?
Yeah.
Like Algeria was cooking and shit. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, and you know what?
Will you watch the Canelo Golovkin 2 24/7s?
You know what? I will, just because it's a big fight. But even then, I might just skip forward because listen, what would be wrong if they showed some like real training footage? Are they afraid that they're gonna give up their tricks, the fighters, and they don't allow it? I mean, what's? I'd love to see just like training.
We did see Chavez Jr. training his living room.
That's right. That's true. That it gives him special power. It gave him the ability to absorb Martinez's punches, and then he was able to come on strong. But listen, 24/7. I'm gonna watch him, yeah, probably because it's a big fight. But for the most part, there's nothing overly exciting about them. And I did see the Cotto retrospective that they did back prior to the Saddam Ali fight. And
I didn't see it.
Thank God, man, because listen, they had Cotto there, and then they purposely show him footage of his family, thanking him for everything and blah blah blah. And then they cut back to Cotto on the couch and he's crying. And then you see Jim Blomby starts crying with him, like, you can see that your family really loves you. And like, come on.
I don't want to see a soap opera now. It's supposed to be boxing, man.
Yeah, it's a soap opera right then and there. You know the type of footage I would have loved to have seen? Cotto with his wife.
What?
Like hidden camera, voyeur type pornography. You know, Japanese pornography type, like where there's a hidden camera and you just see them and during their everyday lives.
You know, they pay couples to like put cameras in their house, like so they watch everything they do.
Yeah, I'm one of them. Yeah, I know that.
You want them to do that for like 20, actually like real hardcore 24/7.
Now listen, you'd have to pay me millions to do that. My privacy is something that I mean, imagine every time you take a dump and everything, people are looking at you. Nah.
All right, man.
I can't
think so.
No, anyway.
Well, anyways, yeah, 24/7s, man. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it, but yeah, I'm gonna watch the one for Dorticos against Gassiev. That's a very good fight. Now let's hope that the streams work over here. Because last time they were a piece of garbage, man. I had to use a stream.
Well, wait a minute. If you're using a stream, then that means it's fantastic. Usually the quality is fantastic.
Yeah, but at some point it stopped, so I had to like refresh it. But yeah, I saw the whole fight basically.
Well, you know what you gotta do. You gotta close all those porn browsers you have on, and then that way the sailing.
I was on my phone, by the way.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, I know the procedure.
Fernando V says, I only watched Dorticos once, but he looked impressive knocking out the Russian dude. Yeah, he did look good in that one. Pavel says, to be honest, the whole atmosphere at the World Boxing Super Series fight is one of the best I've seen. Oh, have you been at the fights, Pavel? If so, let us know in the comments. Get Off Me Son says, Dorticos is going to win just because he's Cuban. By the way, we also had Precise last episode on Monday talking about the Cuban fetish that some fans have. Like, they just hear, oh, this guy's Cuban, this fighter's from the Cuban school, oh, then that means he's good. Cuban school does not translate necessarily to success in the pro ranks. Flamon24 says Triple G only wins if Canelo just sits and trades with him. Other than that, Triple G doesn't have enough in his arsenal to win. Jehobi says, yeah, he does. And he says Triple G was trying to counter Canelo when Canelo was on the ropes. B-Prop KR, shout out to B-Prop, says, I don't like how mostly no one is giving Golovkin a chance to win. Now, are they saying that Canelo's going to win simply because they're assuming he's going to get the decision again, or because they actually think that Golovkin is finished?
A lot of people are say that Canelo will win not because he's better than Golovkin, but because he's going to get robbed again. So, like, basically, there's no chance for Golovkin to win unless he KOs Canelo, which I kind of agree. Man, he got a 118-110 card.
Yeah, man, I mean, how do you...
Golovkin had to do, man. What does he have to do to win this fight?
It makes no sense.
Like, win
man.
12, like 11 out of, 11 out of 12 rounds?
I don't, it's... I'm scratching my head, man. Like, what... everybody called it. Everybody said if it goes to a decision, they're not gonna give it to Golovkin. And, you know, if these people were smart, I'm talking about the judges and the promoters or whoever orchestrated that bad scorecard, they would have known, listen, people, you know what it is also? They know that they could give the most ridiculous scorecard, and fans, what are fans gonna do about it? What are we gonna do about it? Are we gonna boycott the fight? Are we gonna go to these people's houses and protest or something? Nah, they know we're not gonna do anything. That's why they're not scared.
They've been doing it forever, and they have kept on doing it forever. So there's no, why would they stop now?
Yeah, man, it makes no sense.
There's no way they're gonna. It's gonna happen again. It's gonna happen again. Now, I was thinking, what if they pull a Pacquiao Bradley, where, you know, Pacquiao's a favorite, he's a moneymaker, but somehow Bradley won that fight, and then it could be the same thing with Canelo Golovkin, where Canelo's supposed to win, but then something happens and Golovkin gets the decision, just so that there's another fight and there's more money.
Yeah, I'd mentioned that, I forget which episode, I don't know if it was Saturday or Monday, but I mentioned that it's possible, because listen, Bradley he got the decision. So now, was that a bad decision, or was that Bo Byram sort of letting Pacquiao know, hey, listen, like, you're not the boss here, I am, and if I want to, I can make you lose, even though you deserve to win. And also, let's not forget, there were some shenanigans prior to the fight. Remember, the fight's supposed to start normally like at 11:45 Eastern time or something, and it actually started 20-something minutes later because Pacquiao was having trouble with his calves. Remember that? And he was on the treadmill trying to stretch the calves. Like, some weird, like, that whole night was weird. I don't know. So.
Oh yeah. I remember that was before the Bradley fight. Yeah.
That's what I just said. Yeah, that's what I just said. I know, like I said, the Bradley fight. You like, oh yeah. That was before the before the Bradley fight. Well, what the hell did you think I was talking about?
Sorry, you were cutting off, man.
Is that cutting up? But yeah, it was some weird shenanigans going. So no, it wouldn't surprise me if they give it to Canelo. Now that I think, I mean, if they give it to Golovkin, when it's actually Canelo who this time really deserves the decision. People.
What if it's a draw again?
That would be that's too much. That specific decision would be too much. That specific outcome. It would have to be like a split decision or majority or something. It can't be a draw again. Just can't be. Can't happen. Won't happen. Pavel says, I wasn't on any of the World Boxing Super Series fights, but just from the broadcast, I like watching it. I can't imagine what it's like live. Oh, okay. Jehobi Mixay says, because they think Triple G is finished. Fernando V says, nah, Canelo is a better boxer. Rod says 24/7 has gone down in content. It really has. I mean, when they're focusing on the same fighters every time, Pacquiao, Canelo, Golovkin, Canelo, it's like they need some fresh blood in there. Or focus on different aspects of their lives. Because like I said, how many times can we watch Gennady Golovkin sprinting and buying new shoes and Abel Sanchez eating tacos?
At least we're done with the Mayweather 24/7.
Oh, yeah. Those got old pretty fast, let me tell you. Let me show you around my mansion. Let me show you these half-attractive chubby chicks that I have hanging around my house. Let me show you...
I mean, with all that money, can't you get better girls than that?
Well, listen, he likes what he likes. I can't knock him down for it. But, yeah, I mean, he's got his preferences. He's got his preferences, for sure.
Certainly does.
What'd you say?
He certainly does.
Yeah, he certainly does.
He certainly does.
Yeah. B Prop KR says, a better that can't get away from a jab. Okay, he's talking about Canelo. He can't get away from a jab. Rascal 222. Shout out to Rascal, says Bomb Squad. Pavels again says, wasn't it because of Bradley being one of the 5 rising stars of Top Rank? I mean, rising stars, he was a rising fighter. He had some good wins against Kendall Holt and Devin Alexander and Lamont Peterson. But star, maybe Top Rank was trying to see what happened if they gave him a win over Pacquiao. But Bradley was always on that Sugar Shane Mosley stratosphere of fame. Not quite mainstream. He was a solid B-side. No, not even a solid B-side. Because he never really made 1 million against Pacquiao. 1 million pay-per-view buys. Or against Marquez. Those weren't huge box office hits. Akuma's Deception asks, is there a rematch clause from this fight? I don't know if we can know that right away. We don't even know where the fight is going to be taking place. Talking about the Canelo versus Triple G rematch. If they give it to Golovkin, Oscar will sue Vegas. Well, remember when Oscar lost to Sugar Shane Mosley the second time? And he said he was going to pay out of his own pocket for an investigation, and he never did.
Did he, or he didn't pay, or...?
No, he didn't do anything about it. It wasn't that bad a decision. Like, it didn't warrant an investigation. And he knew it. He probably rewatched the fight and said, yeah, you know what? I probably lost that fight. You're right. And then that's why he jumped to fight Hopkins. He could have fought Mosley a third time. Why didn't he? Was it because Mosley was asking too much money, as they said in the press? Or was it because he said, you know what? I don't want to go through this against with Mosley. I'll just fight Hopkins. At least if I lose, I know I'm supposed to lose against him. B Prop says,
I think he beat Mosley a second time.
Well, maybe. My first impression was...
Wasn't he roiding or something? Or using some performance... Jesus Christ, I can't even talk.
Yeah, you can't.
PEDs?
Yeah, he was on the clear, apparently.
Didn't Mosley use PEDs?
He was on the clear, which means the cream. I think he used 2 things. I think he used the testosterone cream, and he was injecting something into his abdomen as well. So it's been proven in court after the, what's his name, Victor Conti trial. It all came out, and yeah, Mosley was one of those guys that was juicing. And when was he juicing? Prior to the Oscar De La Hoya fight. So yeah, he was on something. And of course the defense was that he didn't know what he was taking. But I gotta ask you, if you're putting a weird cream all over your body and you're injecting yourself with a needle, you're injecting something into your abdomen, like your Nicolas Cage in The Rock, I gotta wonder, what the hell did you think you were doing? You think you were injecting vitamins into your body? I mean, come on, let's be real.
Fucking weird.
Yeah. No, he was. It's Bucho. It's been proven he was on the juice. Look at the court documents.
Yeah, but, so he was juiced when he fought De La Hoya.
Yeah. B Prop says Abel is bringing sexy back. Weed Degrees, what's up? Weed, shout out to Weed. He says, what's good, people? Not too much, just talking here about the olden days and talking about Gassiev versus Dorticos. Rotty Dave says it's between Gassiev and Usyk. Well, I don't know. Let me tell you, Gassiev has to get past Dorticos. And Bucho, both guys, Precise and Low Place, are very confident that their guy is going to win. I asked Precise in the last episode, and he said, yeah, I'm confident. Low Place, he seemed confident up till Monday, where he started saying, was it Monday, I think, or Saturday, when he said, well, if Dorticos fights the way I think he's been looking, yeah, then he's gonna win. So he sort of gave himself a little out there. In other words, if Dorticos loses,
he's doubting.
I think so, man. I'll have to ask him the next time we have him on. We Degree says, I think Gassiev might do it. Jahobi McSay says Triple G is screwed either way in a rematch. Jahobi says if he tries to box against Canelo and doesn't attempt a KO, fans will think he's powerful. Well, there's already fans that think he's been an overrated. Like, for example, Oplis thinks that Golovkin is overrated. Same goes for Canelo. He says Golovkin should have, if he was really the killer that people make him out to be, he says he should have knocked Canelo out. Of course, the counter argument is that maybe both guys are better than you think, and that's why neither guy could KO the other. Okay, so Triple G. Rod T says Triple G has to go to Canelo's body. He has to risk it this time. Wheat Degree says The Rock, good film. Has to be Michael Bay's best film. I know some people would say Bad Boys, but I'm going with The Rock. Jahobi McSay says no. And this Triple G must go to the body crap. Well, he does have to go to the body. But then again, if he goes to the body, he's risking getting countered. So, I think... I don't know if any one particular fight is going to be able to do something completely different in this one. Rasclot says Canelo is going to fight Anolo Triple G and he is going to lose. B-Prop says I think Gassiev knocks him out in the 9th. Well, I'll tell you what. Precise was speaking of the Dorticos versus Miranda fight, and he was using that as an argument for picking against Dorticos. Now, I couldn't find the whole fight on YouTube. There's only about, I think it's round 6, 7, and 8 from the Miranda versus Dorticos fight. But let me tell you something. I was used to seeing Miranda back at 160, back at 168, ripped, shredded. And this guy didn't seem to have an ounce of fat on his body. And all of a sudden, he's at cruiserweight, giving up about, it looked like a good 4 inches against Dorticos. And Dorticos goes the distance against this pudgy, natural middleweight. I mean, it was just... You gotta wonder what happened in that one for Dorticos, because he certainly looked more impressive against... what's his name? Kudryashov. And he did look kind of good against Kalenga. Kalenga's a tough fighter to look good against. You know, he's a wild puncher. So, and Dorticos stopped him. Same with Kudryashov. So, he might not look the best... He might not be the most technical fighter out there, but he gets the job done so far. So we're going to have to see what happens against Gassiev. And by the way, Bucho, there was a... when I was reading the comments for the preview video that the World Boxing Super Series did for Gassiev versus Dorticos, there was a comment of... like Gassiev is going around, walking around the streets, and apparently he's like kind of like a big name in Russia. So everybody was stopping him for pictures. Unless that was all staged for the cameras. I don't know. I don't think so. But people were coming up to him, taking pictures with him. There were a lot of young ladies eager to take photos with him. And then all of a sudden, in the comment section, somebody goes... And it was a guy's name, by the way. The guy who made this comment. So make of it what you will. He goes... And I'm paraphrasing here for everybody. Don't take this out of context. I don't want somebody to take this recording and say, hey, listen to what BDA thinks of Gassiev. You know what? Maybe I shouldn't make the comment. Maybe I shouldn't read the comment, because then people are gonna try to say that BDA is saying that. What do you think, Bucho?
Just say it.
Anyway, it was a commenter talking about how they found Gassiev to be extremely attractive, and then at the end of every sentence, the person would go woof woof like a dog, and then I checked the name of the person, and it's a guy's name, and I go, what the hell is going on here? It just creeped me out. Listen. Over here at BDA, I have to reiterate, we accept people of all creeds, all sexual orientations, all races, all political parties. But it's just kind of creepy when you're
affiliations.
Affiliations. But I'm just saying, it's kind of creepy when you're reading the comments for a boxing video, and all of a sudden a guy with a dude's name starts talking about how hot Gassiev is and starts woofing and barking like that. I mean, just creepy. A little creepy. With Degree says, Precise chats some ass. If I could make sense of that comment, I would make a further comment on it, but I don't know what that means. B-Prop KR says Miranda had like 6 losses and Dorticos couldn't get him out, which begs the question, was there something wrong with Dorticos? Was it a styles matchup thing, you know, affecting him, or was it simply the fact that Dorticos sucks? We'll have to see on Saturday. Rasclot 222 says, who is this bum that Candy's fighting? And We Degree says, Greco. Precise Puncher says, get off my dick. Black Avatar with 3 asterisks says, yo, I was listening and participating in yesterday's podcast. I just want to say what up to the BDA Familia. What's up? Right back at you, man. We Degree says, Greco got smashed up by Spence, took it in 48 hours. Oh, yeah, that was Greco's excuse, that he took it in 48 hours, and I think he said something about dropping from 160 to 147 in 2 days. So if it is true, hey, you know, what are you gonna do about it? Took a fight on late notice, got his ass kicked, but at least he got paid. And that's what it's all about, right, people? The money. That's what everybody says out there. There's a lot of boxing fans out there that are preoccupied with fighters' finances. Listen, as long as you get out of boxing and you're not punch drunk and you still have a couple of bucks in your pocket, that's fine. But I'm not looking out for you to get the best payday out there. I want to be entertained myself, alright? Pavel says, isn't Gassiev 25s? He looks like a fucking bear. He's a hairy motherfucker, that's true. Rotty Davis says, Khan will beat Greco bad. Yeah, I don't see Greco doing too much. Precise sponsor, shout out to Precise, says, hola carnal. We Degree says, he chats fucking shit. What does that mean, chats? Are you saying he talks shit? Because if that's what you're trying to say, replace chats with talks. Because chats makes it sound like it's, you know, chitty chat, like whispering and stuff. Very, very insidious. You know what I mean? Behind the scenes, widely, Weasley. A guy with 3 asterisks says, I'm a lesbian Martian. Thanks for accepting me, guys. Well, like I said, transgender, transhuman, trans animal, extraterrestrial, whatever you are, come on into the chat. And by the way, if there are any people traveling from the future, you know, if we got any time travelers, could you please comment on the chat and tell us who to ban on for Gassiev-Dorticos? That would be fantastic. It would really help us out. Raslo 222 says, Precise Puncher, why do a film study on Usyk when he clearly won? Well, we'll see if he answers that question. What else? Yeah, talks, says Witty. Okay, now we got that covered. Precise Puncher says, I'm gonna go in there in a bit, send a link to Rasklot. He has some questions. Well, yeah, that would be entertaining. Why not? Precise Puncher, low, please beat you down the last time you two were on. Shake my head. Chatting shit talk. Okay, so we got Rasklot and We Degree, who don't seem to agree with Precise Puncher. B Prop KR says that Eddie Hearn's press conferences are so staged, same shit every time. By the way, Bucho, does Eddie Hearn promote Dylan White and Chisora?
Sorry, is he what?
Does he promote Chisora? Does he promote Chisora? Does he promote Chisora? Eddie Hearn, does he promote Chisora?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not gonna say so.
Okay.
But yeah, because yeah, there's always something with Eddie Hearn in his press conferences. And it looked fake in my opinion. But then again, that's fucking British boxing for you, man. It's a bit of WWE.
Yeah, because people in the chat are saying that the whole Khan versus Greco thing looks staged. I mean, what did you see the video? I think you saw it before I did, right?
Yeah, I'm the one who told you, I think.
Yeah, and then what do you think? Did it look staged or?
Yeah, a bit. Because I rewatched, because after I saw it, I was like, this looks a bit fake. So then I rewind the video and I was watching it, and then I was only focusing on Amir Khan, and you can see Khan looking at the glass like up and down, like he was ready to throw it. Fake to me, because if you're gonna throw water on the other guy, it's like you do it instinctively, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't look at the glass and then look up and then look at the glass and like you're thinking about it. You just do it.
Well, maybe he was.
Looks a bit fake to me.
I don't know. Maybe he was thinking about it because he wasn't sure if he was gonna. Like, you know, when you do something crazy, you don't realize it, but you are giving the cues visually, physically, that you're about to do something. So maybe that's what happened with him. I don't know. Okay, Precise Puncher says low place can barely beat his dick. We Degree says Precise Puncher couldn't punch a dead hooker in the cunt. What the hell are these people going on about? Precise Puncher says gross dude, die, thank you. B Prop says low place takes yoga lessons to pleasure himself. Oh man, yeah. People try to do that, man. People try to take those yoga lessons and try to stick their dick in their mouths. I mean, I think that's the question that they did, right? That was a question they made a long time ago, which was, if you're sucking your own dick, does that make you gay?
Never heard that, but I'm sure it does.
It's right, because it's a dick, right?
Yeah.
Reverse Lee's in the house, and he's shout out to Reverse, and he says, if you want a big surprise, look up Helen Yee. I don't know. I don't think I want to do that. And if I open up the Firefox, I think it's screwing.
What is it?
What? What is what? Pucho, speak up, man.
You hear me? I said, what is he talking about? Reverse
I don't know. He said
big surprise.
He said Helen Yee. Look up Helen Yee for a big surprise. I don't know who Helen Yee is. I said that.
Is it a boxer? It sounds like a woman, so it's like a transvestite or something. Because
that's what I'm getting at, with the big surprise being in between asterisks. Realistic Boxing says...
We'll skip that.
Yeah, we'll skip it.
Until Reverse Lee gives us more information.
Yeah, we don't want to risk falling into anything too disgusting, man. Realistic Boxing says, I really hope somebody chins Eddie Hearn at the press conference one day. That would be quite entertaining. He's a tall guy, though, so it would have to be somebody that's equally as tall. Vincent Marduk says, can you suck your own dick, BDA? No, I can't, and believe me, I've tried. Realistic Boxing says... She's got massive tits. Oh, I think I know who. Okay, yeah. I think she's a...
Yes, I know who she is. She's a sports... Is that the one, the sports... how do you call it?
Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you, man? Are you okay today, man? Ozzy Osbourne.
She has questions and shit. Like, she got some fucking... I'm not even Sharon. I'm talking like...
I like how you pretended, you didn't know who it was, but deep down, all this time you knew who it was.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, but then I read big tits, so I know who she is. She's the one with the fake tits, and
you keep track of all these big tits.
I subscribe to her channel just to
so technically
compare them with the other.
So technically, the BDA organization is subscribed to this woman. Is that what you're saying?
You cut off, man. I couldn't hear you.
Alright, hold on a second here. You know why it's cutting off? Because I just opened Firefox again and it's fucking up with the whole OBS.
Yeah, because the connection's not that good, man. Hangouts, I don't know why today it sucks.
Well, listen, I'm trying to look her up, guys. But it's taking quite a while here, so
we're gonna give you a preview of those fake boobs.
We Degree says BDA. Who's there?
I was gonna say that Tyson Fury apparently is gonna sign with what's the other British promoter? I always forget his name.
Frank Warren. Yes.
I think it's Frank Warren, and people are saying, well, if then how is he gonna get the Joshua fight if he's with Warren?
Okay.
So people are now saying that Tyson Fury is purposely Warren so he doesn't fight Joshua.
I thought
they're saying, oh, maybe he just wants Warren to represent Fury, obviously, in the negotiations.
I thought we had agreed that we weren't going to be talking about Tyson Fury anymore until he finally made it back into the ring.
Apparently, he has a fight that's scheduled in April. So I'm like, he's back. Like,
yeah, he
but we don't know against who yet.
Throughout all 2016, all 2017, he's gonna come back. And did he come back? Nah.
So well, he will come back for sure. I think they said he's fighting in April. I believe he will fight in April. Now my question is, what's his physique gonna look like? I know he's been losing a lot of weight, but then again, that guy was fucking fat, enormous, man. So I don't know. I wanna. What's he gonna look like, man? Like Andy Ruiz, some shit like that. That Mexican guy.
Well, I don't think he's gonna look exactly. I don't know. I think he can shed more pounds than that. Okay. By the way, I couldn't.
So.
Jesus Christ! I can't open up Firefox. But what I can do is show you.
Oh, Precise on the line. What up, man?
Not shit. How's everybody doing?
Good, man. First of all, I know people are gonna get mad at me for bringing it up again, but it's because it's high stakes, my man. High stakes. You got that bet with Low Plays. And let me tell you something. Low Plays didn't seem all that confident on Saturday. Maybe that was just my impression. But he said...
I'm fairly confident.
Yeah, I know, because I asked you on Monday and you said, yeah, you're still extremely confident that Gassiev is going to win it. Meanwhile, Low Plays kind of said, well, he said, if Dorticos looks the way I expect him to, he should win. Meaning, if he loses, he's going to say, well, he didn't do the things I expected him to. Like, you know, like sort of cover his ass a little bit. I don't know. I'd have to ask him the next time he's here.
Even me, like 2 weeks ago, I don't know when the bet was made, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I was like in between, like it's a 50-50 fight. Then I've been watching more fights, well, re-watching the same fights that I saw before of Dorticos and Gassiev, and I'm leaning more towards Gassiev now. And like I'm almost confident, certain that he will knock out Dorticos. And then I rewatched the Lebedev fight, and a lot of people make a big deal about it, like, oh, he couldn't knock out an old, shorter guy. But look at Lebedev. I mean, he was like, he had a tight defense. Both of them weren't really like throwing a lot of punches, so there wasn't a knockout. A knockout wasn't going to happen. But hey, Lebedev got dropped. So give him credit, please. So just don't get all crazy and go like, oh, he couldn't knock out Lebedev, so that's telling you something about Gassiev.
Who knocked out Lebedev? Who knocked him out?
Yeah, exactly. No, but some people always are put into context. Lebedev was old. He was short. He's shorter. He's like he's on the way out, so he has to get knocked out.
Bro, Edison Miranda.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, it's just stupid. Yeah, if what Low Play said, it's like me saying, well, if Gassiev knocks him out, then I win the bet, right? If he does what I want him to do, then he does what I want. Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. If he wins, right? That's basically what he's saying.
Yeah,
setting up an excuse.
It's sort of an excuse, because he's saying, it's like Teddy Atlas when he doesn't give it for example, Hopkins Pascal too. He refused to give Hopkins credit because in his eyes, Hopkins only won because Pascal didn't do what he was supposed to do. And of course that whole thing was because Teddy Atlas had picked Pascal to stop Hopkins in the rematch, and so he couldn't admit that he was wrong. So he was just doing the same thing, which is he didn't do what I said he should have done, blah blah blah. But the guy lost, regardless of whether he does what you want him to do or not. It's his responsibility to do what he has to do in the ring.
Well, and he usually uses because you wanted him to do something that he's never done before and doesn't know how to do and wasn't likely to be able to do it. You imagined something that he was capable of doing, and hey, guess what? You imagined it.
Now I gotta ask you.
You know what I mean? Like people, people say, well, they will ask like, it's an extreme example, but they'll ask like a come forward pressure fighter to box on the back foot, for example, right? Oh, he didn't box him. Well, because he's a fighter.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, it's unrealistic expectations, or unrealistic demands, I should say. It's like, somebody's mentioning in the chat room, Roy Jones versus David Haye. Roy Jones was another guy when he fought Tarver the third time. At least he admitted after the fight. He said, "Listen, if you want to beat Antonio Tarver, you gotta come forward. You gotta do it like Glenn Johnson, and I'm not that type of fighter." So at least he admitted that. But there's these other guys, we know who they are, who say they're going to come in here, they're going to look for a knockout, they're going to put pressure, and then what do? They run. But I don't think Gassiev and Dorticos are going to do that, and especially Dorticos. I think Dorticos looks like a very offensive-minded fighter. He's going to try to stay in there and really try to bomb Gassiev out. And if I'm not mistaken, Gassiev only has, I think, half an inch in height over him, but it's Dorticos who has the longer reach, right? I think he has the longer reach.
It's irrelevant. That's
really
going to be irrelevant in this fight. Yeah, but going back to what you're saying about what the fight's going to look like, it's kind of like Spence Peterson, right? Like, we know Spence could fight moving around a little bit, not very well, but we know he could move around and spoil or take his time and have a different approach. But the way he wins fights is by going after you, right? Like, perfect example, he was both of those guys in the Garcia fight, right, where he kind of ran around, kind of pretended to be boxing, and then went after him. and he lost the first part of the fight, and he more than won the second half, right? Almost killed. So it's like, yeah, these guys are best coming forward, and it's going to be a great fight.
Hopefully, man, because I mean, we expected Usyk Brady's to be kind of boring or one-sided, and it turned out to be more entertaining than we thought. So hopefully hopefully the opposite doesn't happen with this one, where it's a fight that we all think is going to be good, and it turns out to a boring fest. But I don't think so.
No way. This fight has to be good. And Briedis, that's because people aren't objective. They're not fair, and they just chat shit.
Mm-hmm.
Briedis is, if you bring a dirty fight to him, he'll respond and he'll beat you at your game, which is what he did to Pettis. I mean, he got headbutted by the motherfucker, and he said, fuck it, I'm going to go after you, and I'm going to beat you at your own game, right? Marco Huck is a dirty fighter, so that fight was a little bit scrappy here and there. But Usyk is not a pure boxer, but he doesn't foul, right? He can, but he doesn't fight that kind of a fight, and it was a great fight. Briedis tried a little bit of bullshit, but just because he was a little bit frustrated, so he tried a little bit of pushing around and low blowing, but it didn't really go anywhere, and we got a great fight because Briedis is not really a dirty fighter. He knows how, if you bring that kind of fight to him, he'll respond and he'll kick your ass in a dirty fight, So I think people blamed him for basically responding to Pettis, who initiated all this stuff, without watching some more of his fights where he just boxes because he's a boxer. But hey, you want to make it dirty, you're gonna lose, and we're gonna have a dirty fight. So it wasn't really, it was both guys' fault, but it was because Pettis brought that out of Briedis, and that's why we got a good fight. And because too many people blamed Briedis for something that wasn't really his fault.
It's a bit like Sean Porter against Kell Brook, no? Where like it turned into a fucking dirty, boring fight.
Or Sean Porter, what's his face? Andre Berto. Andre Berto was the one headbutting Porter. He was the one. He's the guy in. Yeah, watch that fight carefully. Notice how Mr. Nandrolone was. I had a long day. Was just like Andre Ward, right? I mean, he trains in the same gym. Would bend low and just jump in with his head. And he got Porter a few times, and Porter said, "Fuck you. You want to fight dirty? I'm gonna kick your ass." And that's what happened, because Porter was on his back foot in that fight. He was ambush fighting, right? He was dancing around and jumping in and beating Berto's ass, and Berto started headbutting Porter. I mean, just look at the end of the fight. Who was the one cut up? Porter had both eyes cut. Was Berto cut? Maybe one cut? I don't remember, but Porter took most of the damage. Porter wasn't the dirty fighter in that fight. It was Berto who was the slick fighter and hid his dirty tactics, and most people didn't notice because the commentators brainwashed him. But I'm telling you, watch that fight and watch Berto and how he starts the dirty fighting. Porter responds and whoops his ass. Porter's not really a dirty fighter, but he can take it there and he'll kick your fucking ass. You know what I mean? Porter's just a good fighter. He adapts, and he gets blamed because, well, he won, right?
Well, now I've only seen really the Dorticos fight against Kudryashov, against Kalenga, and against like 3 rounds where he took on Miranda. Have you seen any fight where Dorticos does something dirty?
Yeah. He fought some bums, and he was, but I remember him fighting some bum somewhere in Miami, but that guy was dirty too, so it was kind of a dirty fight. I don't remember who started it, to be honest, but he was rabbit punching a little bit. He was pushing the guy around. Like, the guy just wouldn't go, right? He kept hitting him, but couldn't knock him out, and it just kind of devolved into this bullshit fight, and they just waved the fight off. I don't remember it exactly, but it's kind of what I'm thinking here.
And what about Gassiev? Can he be...
Gassiev, I haven't seen it. I think they're just going to bang, man. They're just going to step to one another, and one guy's going to back the other guy up, and then the other guy's going to back him back up, and they're just going to clash, man. And if it goes more than 8-9 rounds, I'm going to be... I mean, I want to say this ends in the first 6, but, you know, somebody could bring a different game plan and completely flip the script, but I haven't seen it, so I'm not going to assume that's going to happen, because these guys are really, they excel at coming forward and knocking you out. I mean, right? This is what they do.
Now, with Degree saying, have you seen Dorticos' foot movement? And then the Russian hammer is slow as fuck as well.
Yeah, Dortico doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't. Technically, it's decent footwork. It's
Well, he comes forward
straight. It's all right, but
yeah.
But his balance is shit. His balance is bad. It's not the footwork really. It's his balance that's gonna get him in trouble.
He kind of overcommits, no? When he throws like that 1-2.
Yeah.
That's when I think he's gonna get caught.
Yeah, he has to reset. Yeah. He has to like catch his balance again, and you know that gives the opportunity to Gassiev, who's always on balance, right? That's what Sanchez teaches all his fighters, and that's it's the Eastern European school of boxing. So just head in the center, you know what I mean? Equal weight on both feet and go to work.
Now, it's interesting that you mentioned that you're saying you don't think it's going to go the distance because, of course, both guys can bang. And it's interesting, Bucho, what you pointed out about people in the comment section talking about Gassiev's footwork. You know, like I've said before, people confuse slow feet with bad footwork. Just because you're not jumping around or you're on your toes for 12 rounds doesn't mean you have bad footwork. For example, Gassiev, he's not jumping up and down. Well, like Precise said, when he punches, he's always on balance. I would rather be that way than to be able to have the legs to move for 12 rounds, but then have no balance after I punch. And the people confuse that. People see somebody gliding around the ring and they think that's good footwork. For example, Rigondeaux.
Yeah, but then they can't sit up and throw punches because it's not the same thing.
Exactly. And when people were talking about Rigondeaux having good footwork, you know, when we asked the question, who has better footwork, Rigondeaux or Lomachenko? And then finally I came up with my own opinion and I said, I think Lomachenko has better footwork because we've never seen him get dropped the way Rigondeaux could. And people started, of course, saying, some people were saying that that wasn't true, blah, blah, blah. But hey, listen, if you're getting dropped, and that's the other thing, they were saying, well, it's not when we were asking later whether he had a good chin, people were saying, yeah, he has a good chin. And then we would remind them that he gets dropped, and then they would say, oh, well, that's because he's off balance. Well, then that's it. It's because he has bad footwork. You can have it both ways. Either he's going down because he's got a bad chin, or he's going down because he's got bad footwork. Pick one. You know what I mean? So
sounds like a low place debate.
No, but that wasn't. I never. Did we talk to Lopez prior to the Rigondeaux? Oh yeah, we did, and he didn't like that fight. He thought it was a waste of time.
Well, he knew what was gonna happen.
I think so. But going back to the Gassiev-Dorticos fight.
Anyways,
Precise. I was watching the preview that the World Boxing Super Series did for that fight, and I saw you commenting in that video, and you said that Dorticos, in your opinion, his bravado is a sign that he's actually low confidence. Do you think when you say low confidence, do you think he's really, there's some doubt in there and that he's trying to play up the I'm the best angle, or are you saying that he's not confident in the decision, that the decision will go his way, Joe? Like what exactly are you trying to say there?
He's the underdog.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows it. These fighters know the odds, and he realizes that he's the underdog, and the experts who are right 5% of the time, you know, they're picking against him. So, and you know, he's a boxer. Like I keep going back to this. He knows what he's looking at. You know what I mean? If I know what I'm looking at, Dortico, who's been a Cuban amateur for so long, and he's doing well in the pros, he knows for damn sure what he's looking at. And that's just how I interpret it, right? He's seeing what I'm seeing, and I'm not saying he's picking his opponent, but he knows there are very good reasons for that, you know what I mean? So yeah, he has to overperform. He has to do better than what he's been doing so far, and or hope that Gassiev is not as good as what he's shown in the ring, you know. So that's really what it comes down to.
Well, let me tell you something. I'm excited for this fight. I can't wait to see it. Hopefully we can all catch a good stream, because this one, we shouldn't miss it. If you miss this fight, I don't know what to tell you. But people in the comments are saying, B-Prop says Dorticos is gonna make Russian learn Spanish. Sanctus Dios Cruz, shout out to Sanctus, says everyone who hurt or dropped Rigo had a 50-70 KO ratio, not feather-fisted punchers. Okay. And the Lomachenko's been fighting punches too, and he doesn't go down. So actually, that's not what I was arguing. I was arguing about the footwork. So what was it then, Sanctus? Is Rigon to have a bad chin or bad footwork? We Degree says, least he ain't lying about his age. Makes a change for a Cuban. James Harris says, could Andrew Ward move up and beat Usyk? Well, that's the other thing. Somebody mentioned that to me in the comments of one of our videos. And he says, yo, BDA, Andrew Ward is moving. He says he wants to move up to cruiserweight. How do you think he would do against Usyk? You know, Andrew Ward had the good speed at light heavyweight. Even though he admitted he was feeling slower. I can't imagine how much faster he would be at cruiserweight. I don't think he would be that much faster against these guys. I mean, I don't know. Am I wrong, guys? What do you think?
Yeah, Roy Jones recently said that Ward is that good that he can become champion at cruiserweight and heavyweight.
Well, my thing about Andrew Ward.
Yeah, because the taller guy's balls line up best with his best shots, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So he has a chance. You know what I mean? Like, how do you stop that? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Convince the referee that there are rules in the sport when he's already been paid not to enforce them. How do you beat a guy like that?
Exactly.
How do you beat? But Ward's style, it's holding and being dirty, and that's not gonna work. You can't outmuscle a guy like Usyk or Bray's like this big cruiserweights. There's no way like Ward can do anything against him.
Mm-hmm.
You could headbutt him in the balls. Over and over and over and over, right? I mean, don't be surprised, man. I mean,
yeah, but
Andre Ward is capable of anything.
Ward Usyk in Oakland, fuck.
That fight's never happening, guys. It's never happening.
No.
Nah, it would never happen.
Andre Ward, no, he's too good for Andre. Too big, too good.
Like somebody said in the comment section, the Ward. Who said this? Hold on a second.
Oh, sorry, but Ward wants to fight Tony Belly, right?
That's what, yeah.
How shitty everyone sees Tony Belly, but fucking Low Place goes like, oh, Tony Belly's this great, amazing fighter. It's like, man, Andrew Ward speaking him as a possible opponent because he sucks, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
how many tune-up fights is he gonna need? I mean, this is 2-weight division, right?
Exactly.
Or one weight, I guess, but a lot of weight to make.
Oh shit.
Alright, shout out to Quincy who just subscribed.
Usyk doesn't have the time to wait for Andre Ward to get all his tune-ups.
And I don't think Andre Ward has time either. I don't even... Ward, he's 34 or something, and... I don't know, I think he would
and he's roiding up. It's like, it's just so obvious.
Yeah.
He's roiding. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Man.
This guy thinks, I'm retiring because like my body can't take it anymore, whatever excuses. Then all of a sudden he comes a few months later, oh, by the way, I'm like at 199 pounds or something, ripped and cut, and she's like all muscles. Like, what the fuck were you doing during this layoff? Like, you just said like you were done with boxing and everything.
Come on, Bucho. You're not surprised, man, are you? Come on, Bucho.
No, look, this is a meme. Guys, this is a meme I made.
Yeah. Andre Ward, from the beginning of his career, he's been following the Floyd Mayweather blueprint. He's been like tit for tat copying what Floyd does. If you really break it down, he's been beefing with his promoter, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Getting out of his contract and getting all these privileges and being taken care of. American medalist, Olympic medalist, you know what I mean? Retiring, unretiring, ducking all the best competition. Not at 168, obviously, but ducking some fighters, cherry-picking fights, you know, having it all his own way, cheating, doing drugs while taking away your drugs. It's like, it's the Mayweather blueprint, man. It's to a fucking T. So fuck Andre Ward and fuck anybody with anything to say about that.
Yeah, his career is full of asterisks all over the place. Asterisks here and asterisks there. It's like, you can't take that guy serious, man.
And also,
anybody who supports Andre Ward is a mental fucking health patient or soon to be one. It's like, I don't understand how you could be a fan of that fucking maggot.
Well, that's the other thing.
That guy is a fucking disgrace.
Because it's not just his actions, it's also his... It's his actions, and then on top of that, the fact that he calls himself the son of God, when you know he's being a dirty fighter and he's bending the rules, he's the type of guy that's willing to do everything he can in order to get the win. So please, if you're gonna call yourself the son of God, have a little more respect or a little more integrity than that.
But which God is he talking about? Which God is he talking about?
Fucking Satan.
He's talking about, yeah, of course. So forget all that. We don't need to get into
Like-
that whole thing, but you know what Jay-Z is all about. So,
Well, wait a
you know.
minute.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, wait. I was just gonna say something, but I forget, man. A lot of these people who are very religious or claim to be religious and pious and shit are the complete opposite. So
Yeah.
he's probably one of those.
Yeah, he's
No.
exactly.
He's
They hide behind religion. They hide behind religion. Remember, Sister, what's his name? Sister Nassim there,
Mm.
who was a trainer there. He was involved with a lot. Dirty, always Hopkins, dirty, Cunningham, dirty ass fucking fighter. He was a trainer. Oh, but he has that kufi and shit, and he's very religious, and he's like a fucking like a saint or something. Bullshit, man.
When Timothy Bradley was a real nasty headbutter on the way up, he would always thank God, and he was always talking about God, and it was just God. Like, you know, I'm not a bad guy. It was accidental. I love God. You know, I would never do that. So it's true for a lot of fighters. I think they hide behind religion, but I think Andre Ward is like next level, man. I think he is talking about his God. He's not talking about the God that people think he's talking about. And that's just my fucking opinion.
Oh, wow.
I'd love to know more about that, man.
You can't be a good person and do what he does. It's impossible.
Well, but that's the thing. There's, like Bucho said, there's a divide between what the person thinks he's and, like, for example, this guy, deep down, maybe he knows he's not a good person, but he just keeps repeating it in the hopes that he's gonna believe it. But I don't know if he's really praying to some other nasty, ancient, pre-Judaic god. I mean, I don't know if that's what you're trying to get at. Well, yeah, I mean, who knows? But one thing I do know is, and I think, listen, we don't want to slander anybody, but Reverse Lee was the guy who said that Virgil Hunter, who is, for all intents and purposes, Ward's father figure, and Virgil Hunter used to be a parole officer. And then it came out maybe 2 years ago, 1 year ago, it came out that Virgil Hunter was actually the biological father of some pop singer. And then Reverse Lee said that it was a well-known fact. Now, this is somebody else saying it. I'm not saying that this is true, but he said that it was well known that Virgil Hunter, when he was a parole officer, he would abuse his powers with the female ex-convicts, and so that's why he had a child with one of them. So I don't know if that's true or not, but you look at how Virgil Hunter and Andre Ward conduct themselves, always trying to get an advantage, always trying to do whatever they can to get the win, no matter how dirty it is. You know, is it a coincidence that Virgil Hunter was involved with Daniel Jacobs' camp prior to the Golovkin fight, and all of a sudden Daniel Jacobs comes in, refuses to weigh in the same day, and looks like a light heavyweight in there? I mean, these aren't coincidences, guys. Something's going on.
They're calling. Shit, I'm losing. I'm too tired. What's the name of former trainer of Kovalev?
John David
former
Jackson.
boxer there. John David Jackson. They call him up. Like, what the fuck? Who called who? I think it's Virgil Hunter or someone within Andres' Ward camp, and they called. They called. Jesus Christ, what's his name?
Butcher, what's
Yeah, DJ. I'm fucking losing. Yeah, they call him up. Like, what the hell is this dirty tactic, man? Like, they're trying to take every advantage possible. It's pretty pathetic.
You know what?
They have no honor. These people don't have any honor.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say.
Just fight fair, man. Fight fair. You believe you're the best. You're just man to man, 1-on-1. Let's do it. No fucking cheating and calling the other guy's trainer and trying to get them all riled up and stuff. Like, just be a fucking man.
Look, Andre Ward is a good fighter. Like, he's good, but he's not good enough to beat anybody relevant without the bullshit. He can't do it. He's not that good. So,
well, I was gonna say
man.
about, you said that they don't fight fair. I mean, because really think about it. If you're a competitor, a fighter, a boxer, you want to show the other guy that you can beat him fair and square. In other words, you want to show him you're the better man. But if you're going around doing all this behind the scenes, behind the curtains type stuff, all this shadow play, then are you really the better man? Because if you couldn't have beaten your opponent without doing all those shenanigans, then what does that really say about you? And I think that says a lot about Andre Ward, that he doesn't care about fairness, he doesn't care about competition. I mean, he does care about competition to a certain degree, but he doesn't care about whether he's really the better man. He just wants to get the win no matter the cost. And that is a trait, personally, that I think shows you what type of... Yeah, like... you know what? I had said that I had said that a long time ago in one of the earliest podcasts we had done. I said that Ward has the look of either a psychopath or a sociopath. And now, to be fair with Andre Ward, he didn't have the easiest of childhoods. You know, both parents were drug addicts. They left him. None other family member wanted to take him and his brother on. It was up to Virgil Hunter to take him on. So that can really screw you up when you're a child. So I'm not surprised that he sort of put this emotional barrier around him where he doesn't want to get hurt again, and so he's willing to do whatever it takes to avoid any type of displeasure. But here's the thing. You're now an adult and you have free will. So you can make the choice. Okay, you had a bad childhood, that sucks. You can move on. And you can, you know, he could actually find redemption by truly being a good, I don't know, Christian, Catholic, whatever he is. But instead he chooses to hide behind the religious facade and conduct himself in a nefarious manner. So that's what I don't like about him. Like, at least Floyd Mayweather was real. At least Floyd Mayweather told you, listen, near the end of his career, he says, I'm going to bet, I'm going to hang out with whores, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and this is who I am. Andre Ward is the opposite.
Yeah, but that guy's also full of shit, you know that.
Yeah, but at least he's more
but
genuine.
It's also act. It's an act with Mayweather. One time he was on A Los Golpes, and he was just like being real, and they asked him though about the whole TBE thing, and he said, look guys, that's just a persona, like I'm not the best ever, that's just, he kept it real for a second, and he basically told him, like, I'm the best at making money.
Yeah, like a showman.
Marketing myself. Yeah, that's what he said to Juan Manuel Marquez. He just kept it real with a fellow boxer, I guess.
Okay, well, see, there you go. But what I'm saying is that at least that point, he's more genuine than Andre Ward, which is saying something.
With
because
Floyd, it's more of an act, I think. I mean, he's also about that life. There's a duality, at least, to everybody. But Ward is just, he's on another level, man. I mean, like the people he's associated with, and Jay Prince was threatening, like no one seemed to have picked up on it, but he was threatening Cavalier's life in the build-up to, like, out in the open. I mean, he was talking slang and shit, but he was threatening his life.
Like what did he say?
In interviews, and he was talking about, like, you have life and death on your tongue. And what else did he say? He was talking about town business, which means like the criminal underground in Oaktown. Town business. He was like threatening his life.
Well, wasn't it James Prince who, there's that legend going around the internet that when Mayweather wanted out of his contract with James Prince sent some thugs over to the Mayweather gym, and that the story varies. Some say that they showed up with guns and they forced everybody in there to get buck naked, and that Mayweather hid in a bathroom and so they couldn't find him. And then the other story is that they came in with pipes and beat up some people at the Mayweather gym. Have you ever heard that story?
Bob Arum basically confirmed it. He didn't talk about the details, but he said he had to bail Floyd out. And I don't know what it was, 200 grand, 600 grand or something like that. Bob Arum had to bail him out from James Prince. Basically, he saved his ass. He didn't talk about all that stuff. Story.
Yeah, Quincy Pinola says that it was at the top ranked gym. And yeah, okay, so essentially, so there is some veracity. Go ahead.
No, Jay Prince is involved in a lot of bullshit. That's not even, if you just look up his name and all the stuff that he's alleged to have been involved in, like, there's a lot more to it than that. He's just a thug. Just a gangster. He's like Suge Knight, basically. It's the same kind of lifestyle, you know. So, in my opinion, Sergey was rubbing his eyes walking into the rematch. I don't know if he was crying or if they had, like, put something on his eyes. I don't know what happened, but he was just frantically rubbing his eyes walking into that ring, and his eyes were all red and like, right, man, I don't know, maybe he was just crying because he knew he wasn't going to win the fight. That like how fucking hard would it be to call somebody in the middle of the night on their cell phone, especially if you're already in there, gym, and you talking to his coach, and just be like, we're gonna kill your little daughter, click, some shit. Like how hard would it be? Like, you don't think that's enough to fuck somebody up mentally to a point where they're just like, okay, I'm not winning this fight, this dude is punching me in the balls, they're not doing anything, and then there's that phone call in the middle of the night, I'm out of here, man.
Well, yeah, that's certainly an interesting theory. James Prince, essentially what we're saying is that you're saying there's documentation of the articles essentially saying that he does intersect from music world to criminality.
Yeah, he's a fucking crime boss.
Jesus Christ.
That's well documented.
Now, do you think that
they don't? It's like Al Capone, right? Everybody knew he was a criminal, but they just didn't have anything on him.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those. So the police are investigating his ass. They just haven't been able to get enough evidence to bust his ass. It's just one of them things.
So but
there's articles all over it with him being involved in
I got some reading to do. I got some reading to do tonight. So you wouldn't be surprised if one day you open up the newspaper and all of a sudden you see James Prince's photo on the front page and it says crime boss arrested for extortion or something like
that. Yeah, I wouldn't.
Exactly. Okay.
Like, oh shit, they got him. What did they get him on?
But that's interesting.
I wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's interesting because everybody likes to talk about how Mayweather. Hey, listen, he's one of the highest paid athletes of all time, but no matter how much money you have, you can't escape. If these people want to kill you, or kill somebody close to you, or beat you up or something, like, what is that? Why he started surrounding himself with all those huge bodyguards around that time? Because he never used to do that.
Probably.
Because he never used to do that before. I mean, like when he was on HBO and I'm talking pre-Oscar de la Hoya. You never saw him surrounded by all 8, 9 bodyguards. All of a sudden, 24/7 stars, and he's being surrounded.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That was also an image thing, but probably. I mean, anytime you got that much money, it's just wise to have somebody watching your back, and if you can make it part of your image and promote yourself, use it to promote yourself. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
But most people that have as much money as Floyd have bodyguards. They're just kind of in the background, with the little, what ear or whatever, and kind of in the background off to the side, scope. And with Floyd, it's all out in the open, and they're like these big, muscly dudes. So it's part of his image. But most people with his kind of money.
Well, it's interesting then because going back to what's his name, Ward, he's associated with James Prince, and I think he's been with James Prince since the beginning of his career. That was, I think, Ward turned pro in November or December 2004, so that's 14 years he's been around the man. I gotta wonder, Ward, you gotta assume that he's been around the guy long enough to hear some of the stories about him, or hear some of what's been going on with him ever since his association with him. And the fact that he sticks with him either means that he's scared to leave him, or maybe he actually enjoys having a guy like that watching his back. I don't know. Hey, Andrew Ward
from Oakland.
Oh, they're both from Oakland?
On the streets, he's been involved in it since very young.
Jesus Christ, I didn't know. You're talking about James Prince. He's from Oakland.
Yeah. No. James Prince is from Texas, I believe, or he has his business in Texas.
Okay.
Maybe for tax reasons, but Andre Ward is from, not the greatest neighborhood. I mean, mom and pop are both strung out, so you could imagine the rest. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Yeah, he didn't have an easy childhood, this guy. But talking about him moving up to fight Usyk, I don't know. But let's say Usyk or Gassiev wins the tournament. They would want to have that fight because, I mean, think about it. Other than who else at cruiserweight would they fight that has a name like that? Like Andre Ward. Say what you want about him.
Oh, they'll move up to heavyweight. More money in heavyweight. Andre Ward's not a big star.
No, I know he's not a big star, but like if
I mean,
Yeah, but what I'm saying is if they don't want to move up to heavyweight, Andrew Ward is the only really logical fight because he has the backing of HBO. They would make it an HBO, blah blah blah. I don't know. Hopefully they wouldn't take that fight.
They do. They both want to move up to heavyweight.
Oh, Gassiev and
according to Sanchez, Gassiev's moving up to heavyweight at some point. If he wins the tournament, he said. If not, we're gonna rebuild him. But eventually they all want to move up to heavyweight because obviously that's where the money is. And Ward is not gonna. First of all, he's extremely difficult to negotiate with. Usyk isn't Klimas Usyk's manager?
I think so, yeah.
And you think Klimas wants to deal with Andre Ward still, and their people, and how they've been treated? You really think they're going to want to go through all that again? I really doubt it.
Yeah.
And Gassiev, I mean, who knows? You know, Andre Ward's not going to fight Gassiev. If Gassiev wins, Andre Ward's not going to fight him.
Well, like people were saying in the chat
room, you can't put muscles in your chin. Go ahead.
Yeah, people in the chat room were saying that Andre Ward wants to fight Bellew. Like, he's got a hard on for Bellew, and that's the fight that he's looking for. I don't think he really wants to challenge himself right away against Usyk or Gassiev.
Right away, or
make more money.
Exactly, he wants to make more money, which is milking the whole comeback thing. But see,
but Bellew would probably make more money than Usyk, because I'm assuming, I don't know, but like the UK, first of all, they love Andre Ward, fucking cucks, and shout out to all those Brits who don't. And Bellew is, you know, like if he does beat Hay again, like he's already pretty popular. If he beats Hay again, that's gonna be probably more money for Ward than fighting Usyk or Gassiev.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can you imagine? I don't know, but I would think so.
Yeah, but maybe what I'm saying is maybe Usyk and Gassiev want that fight. I don't know. Also, I have to wonder how Gassiev and Usyk would do at heavyweight, because they're both around what, 6'3", and against tall guys like, for example, Anthony Joshua. Yeah, you gotta have more than just. You gotta be at least 6 foot something. I mean, I don't know. Dylan White gave Joshua a pretty tough fight, and he's only 6'1". So maybe Usyk and Gassiev could do something similar. But I would have to see them fight a couple of contenders before we even start talking about them taking on a big guy like Anthony Joshua. But then again, Precise, I know you. I think, hadn't you mentioned that you think Usyk beats Anthony Joshua?
No, I think he has a chance. I haven't made an official prediction. I said if he knocks out, this is exactly what I said. If he knocks out, if he stops both Briedis and Gassiev, then yeah, he's gonna stop Anthony Joshua. But that didn't happen. So, you know, I'm saying if he can stop these guys, he'll stop Anthony Joshua. But he couldn't, so that's out the. Well, we'll see what happens in the final, right? I mean, Anthony Joshua's not the only fighter in the world that's getting better. But I think Usyk's best chance of fighting Joshua is the earlier the better, because Joshua's still green, so he has to jump on him early. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and let me tell you something about Joshua. We're starting to make some videos over at BDA about what's his name, Joshua versus Parker, and the fans are coming up. By the way, on the chat, people are saying, is there a connection problem? It keeps cutting out. My feed keeps stopping. Yeah, we've been having some connection issues. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully it'll all be resumed. It says stream health is green, so it's got to be something else. We'll fix it for the next stream. But anyway, we're almost done here. But what I wanted to say precise was that people in the chat, in the comment section for those videos, they're really coming out of the woodwork. There's some people that think Anthony Joshua was the second coming, and then you have the Kiwis, the New Zealanders, who think that Joseph Parker, most of them are actually convinced that he's going to beat Anthony Joshua. I mean, we're seeing a lot of bipartisanship here. And on the one hand, it kind of gets a little irritating to see these biased fans. But on the other hand, it makes it fun, because you're seeing, you know, fighters bringing in fans for a change. You know, there's a lot of American fighters, nobody knows who they are, and they can't even feel their hometown. So it's kind of a nice change to find guys that are actually bling over some fans.
There's people are excited about that fight, and that's all fine and good. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm starting to tell people that in the videos that I think Joseph Parker has a shot. Anybody has a shot to win a fight, but he would the adjustments that he would have to make are very drastic. He would have to make more adjustments than Joshua has in order to win. So it's a long shot for Joseph Parker, but he does have some good things. He's got good reflexes, hand speed. He's not a small guy, so maybe he can use his size. But Anthony Joshua just looks more centered, more balanced, and more technically precise. Okay,
Parker has very short arms.
Fucking arms. He's got the arms. huge arms, and they do look small for a guy that tall, or short, I should say.
Yeah.
Pavel.
Short arms.
Okay, so we got B-Prob and no, Pavel and Sanctus Deus are calling each other gay in the chat room, and they've been going at it for a while now. Lopez is in the house.
Shout out to get a room.
Yeah, you need to get a room. We don't want this. I mean, listen, like I said, BDA, we allow anybody in here, but there's a limit. We got children listening to this too. Lopez is in the house. He says the Superman Stevenson curse is affecting the stream. Hopefully not, man. Hopefully not. Pavel says Ward wouldn't be proud of you. I think he's talking to Sanctus. Neither would your boyfriend. Pavel. Okay, so this is just going back and forth with these guys. Alright, so that was another BDA Boxing Podcast. The stream is really going to shit here. I don't know what's going on. It keeps lagging. Bucho, are you seeing this, by the way? Bucho, are you there? Calling Bucho. Alright. He seems to be on mute. Ever since we started the stream, the guy just sounded exhausted. I don't know what's going on with him.
Yeah, it's in and out. It's good now, but it was a little choppy earlier.
I don't know what's going on, man. It's something bizarre. We're gonna end it now. Anything else you want to say, Precise? Anything about the bet, the fight?
Which one?
Well, the Gassiev fight. Any last comments before Saturday?
No, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great. Gassiev's 12-round decision wouldn't surprise me, actually, because punchers tend to make each other shy sometimes. But I don't think it's going to go very long, to be honest with you. And it wouldn't surprise me if Gassiev just blew him out, man. Just exposed him and knocked him the fuck out. But it could be tough. I don't know.
Well, we will see. I'm certainly looking forward to it. It's one of those fights that it seems like on paper it can't fail, and hopefully it doesn't. Both guys are punchers. It's a high-stakes fight, but it's a berth in the final, for the final of the tournament, and of course there's the BDA implications, which is Precise against Lopez. B-Prob is saying that the podcast isn't working anymore, so we're gonna end this anyway. Thank you, Precise, for being here. Hopefully you can make it on Saturday. We're gonna do a podcast post.
Yeah, I'll be there.
All right, post fight, and hopefully Lopez shows up too, and whoever made the best man win, man. That's all I gotta say. So for everybody, was that? All right. So
agreed.
Agreed. Okay, yeah. So for everybody in the chat room, thank you so much for being with us, even though we started having some technical difficulties. Thank you, for Precise, again for joining us. We're gonna see you in the next one, folks. Take care.
Ciao, guys.